Hi, hello, how are you all? Okay, welcome to my channel, Astria's Lecturer. Today I am going to explain the topic in this video is metamorphosis of frog. What is metamorphosis? Metamorphosis is the rapid transformation of larva into harshiform larva. Harshiform larva in the sense adult. That process is called as metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the post-embryonic development. What is post-embryonic development? In the development of embryo, there are two stages are there. First one is pre-embryonic development and second one is post-embryonic development. Pre-embryonic development involves cleavage of eggs. When after the fertilization, egg starts cleavage. Cleavage in the sense division. Division of a fertilized egg is called as cleavage. The cleavage in the fertilized egg starts cleavage. One cell becomes 2 cell and 2 cells become 4 cell. 4 cell become 8 cell and 8 cell becomes 16 cell and then morula, then neurula. These are the pre-embryonic stage. These all comes under pre-embryonic stage. What is post-embryonic stage? Post-embryonic stage is the development of embryo. In that stage, metamorphosis will occur. Metamorphosis involves several events. That those events are ecological, morphological, physiological, biological changes will occur in the metamorphosis of frog. First one is ecological metamorphic change. What is ecology? Ecology is when the environmental changes, then metamorphosis will occur. When the environment changes. For example, tadpole lives in the aquatic, whereas frog lives in the terrestrial. Terrestrial mode of life. While the tadpole lives in aquatic and it changes into the terrestrial. These changes is called as ecological changes. And first, whereas a tadpole is the herbivore. It just feeds on the plants and planktons and other material which is present in the greenery material present in the aquatic medium, whereas frog is an adult one which is only feed on carnivores like small insects, worms. They transmit from herbivores to the carnivore. These are the ecological changes. Their mode of life and mode of feeding will change. These changes involves in the metamorphosis. Metamorphosis makes the development of a tadpole to the adult one. And the next phase is next event which takes place in metamorphosis is morphological. What is morphology? Morphology in the sense the study of structure of an animal is called as morphology. Morphological changes, body parts, the study of body parts of an animal is called as morphology. The changes in the morphology of frogs during metamorphosis takes place in two parts. First one is progressive part, second one is regressive part. What is progressive and what is regressive? Progressive in the sense it involves in the for example, a tadpole develops into frog, where frog develops the hind limb and forelimb. There are these where the progressive in the sense the changes takes place in the adult one. Those are useful for the adult one. Those changes are called as progressive. And regressive are the changes which the characters which are present in tadpole are reabsorbed in the adult one. Those changes are called as regressive changes. And the next one is organs which exist both in larva and adult. The organs which are present both in adult and larvae. The regressive changes. The regressive metamorphic. Certain adaptive structure formed during embryonic development, but ventral suckers, external gills, larval tail of the tadpole reabsorbed during early functional life. Tadpole contains all the structure. For example, tadpole has long tail and ventral gills, ventral suckers, external gills, and other characters which are present in tadpoles are reabsorbed. And the tadpole stops feeding and it nourishes from the tail. So tail becomes short, and the horny teeth and horny jaws are shed off. Totally the horny teeth and horny jaws are completely shed off. And the larva having aortic arches for internal gills. The aortic arches which involves in the respiration, those are reduced and become modified for aerial respiration. Whereas a tadpole which lives in the aquatic medium, so it it wants to respire in the aquatic, whereas frog is completely terrestrial. So it does not want any aortic arches for the respiration. And the next one is shape of mouth forms wide and tongue becomes longer to catch tongues become longer to catch the insects. And eyes become prominent and dorsal surface on the earth. Eyes will become prominent in the sense the size becomes large and it is outside the head. And the next one is progressive changes. Progressive changes means the characters which are not present in tadpole but they develop in the adult one. Those changes are called as progressive changes. Changes involves in the development of limbs. They develops the forelimbs and hind limbs in the adult one, which increases in size and differentiation. The forelimbs of the frog develops and covers the operculum in the sense the cover of the gills comes on the exterior. Brain also becomes highly differentiated and synthesize the melatonin and serotonin. Brain of the adult one is highly differentiated and the chemical the hormones which is released from the hypothalamus, those are melatonin and serotonin, is helpful for the coloration, which gives coloration to the adult one. In stomach, peptide activity starts for the digestion of animal tissues, whereas adult tadpole only eats the herbivorous, whereas frog eats animals. So to digest the animal tissue, it develops the in stomach peptide activity starts. See morphological structure, where the first tadpole has the long tail. This long tail has been starts disintegrated. Forelimbs and hindlimbs are highly developed. This is the adult frog. Eyes are prominent, forelimbs and hind limbs are developed, tail is totally disintegrated. This is the structure of adult frog. The organs which is present in both larvae and adult, those are intestine, skin and brain. The skin thickens, becomes more by multicellular, mucus and cellulose glands are present, and the intestine which is long in tadpole and becomes short and coiled in frog. Brain becomes highly differentiated. And the next event is physiological and biological metamorphic changes. The physiological, biological in the sense that the chemicals are the enzymes which are released in the body of the adult one or tadpole. Those changes are called as physiological or biochemical changes. And the first one is pancreas. Pancreas is well known for exocrine function and endocrine function. Here in this case, the endocrine function of pancreas also starts at metamorphosis to turn over the carbohydrates in the liver. What is the function of pancreas? Endocrine function of pancreas is it releases insulin. Insulin, and the main function of insulin is to convert the excess glucose into glycogen. Here it starts metamorphosis and it converts the carbohydrates in the liver. The glucose or carbohydrates which is present in the body is converted into the glycogen. And the next one is ammonia. Tadpole, the excretory material of tadpole is the ammonia, whereas the nitrogenous waste of a frog is urea. This is the main physiological and biological characters in the tad frog. And the next one is hormonal regulation in metamorphosis. What is hormone? Hormones are the chemicals released directly into the blood by endocrine glands. What is endoglands? Endocrine glands releases the chemical that is called hormone. These are the ductless glands. There is no ducts which are present in our body, whereas exocrine has a ducts. Through the ducts the chemicals are the enzymes which will be passed, whereas endocrine, these are the ductless gland where the chemicals released by the endocrine glands is directly released in the blood, and through the blood it starts circulation. Hormonal regulation in the hormonal regulation in the frog metamorphosis. The neurosecretory cells of hypothalamus is situated behind the brain. stimulates the hypothalamus stimulates to produce high thyroid releasing factor. It stimulates, it does not releases any hormone, it only stimulates the thyroid releasing hormone, which will stimulates the anterior pituitary gland. Thyroid releasing factor stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete thyroid stimulating hormone. Anterior pituitary gland stimulates the thyroid stimulating hormone. It secretes the thyroid stimulating hormone, which cause in the increase in the thyroid hormone. When the thyroid hormone releases, that thyroid hormone is called as thyroxine. Thyroxine main function is to digest the unused parts or unused cells or unused tissues and unused organs, and to develop the useful organs. It would stimulate the growth and differentiation of organs needed for the animal. The next one is iodine. Iodine is essential component of thyroxine hormone, and that iodine is also causes metamorphosis. To release the thyroxine, iodine is also responsible, essential, and this iodine is also involved in the metamorphosis of a frog. Another hormone of pituitary is prolactin, which involves in the metamorphosis of frog. Prolactin is the hormone which is released by anterior pituitary gland. This prolactin also involves in the metamorphosis of frog. Prolactin anterior pituitary releasing prolactin releasing inhibitory factor. Prolactin releasing inhibitory factor that also involves in the inhibition in overall control of metamorphosis. This also involves in the metamorphosis overall control. If any unused or wanted materials are required, those is metamorphosis by prolactin releasing inhibitory factor. Okay, this is all about the metamorphosis of frog. Thank you.